You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik, a show to help professional moms in survival mode to take hold of their lives and thrive. If you're ready to take powerful action to create your best life, then this is the show for you. I'm your host, Dr. Prianca Naik, board-certified internal medicine physician and certified life coach. Now let's get to it and dive in. You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, episode number 23. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I'm so glad to have you here during this podcast episode today. I want to excuse my tone of voice because I have a bit of a cold, but I have to work through it and bring this episode to you today. Before I dive into today's episode, I want to explain to you a little bit about my coaching process. I work with professional moms who truly have the seemingly perfect life, but they really feel like they're alone in their problems. They are silently suffering on the inside. They feel chaotic. I work with them to know that they're actually not alone and that they can reclaim their confidence and power to have the life that they want, to have a better life with peace and confidence and freedom, even when that feels totally impossible. I walk them through the pillars of my program: vision, mindfulness, self-empowerment, boundaries, and clean decisions to truly have their best life when they feel exhausted and overwhelmed, like they've checked off all the boxes in life, they've done all the right things, and yet somehow their inside life doesn't match up with what it's supposed to be on the outside. So if you are interested in reclaiming your power to truly step into your best life, I encourage you to apply for my coaching program and book an appointment to speak with me, a consultation call to see if we're a good fit to work together. www.priancanaikmdcoaching.as.me. Link in the show notes, and let's dive in. So today I want to talk to you about how to deal with pain, because pain is a part of life. I'm not even going to say an unfortunate part of life, because the pain that we experience truly contrasts nicely with all of the joy that life has to offer. If it were not for the bad moments, for the pain, we truly would not be able to appreciate all of the good that we have. As you know, life has ups and downs, probably about 50% good and 50% bad. So, though we can savor all of the positive, and I highly encourage you to do that, we can also simultaneously accept pain, knowing that we can endure it, because we have endured pain so many times in the past, and we will most certainly endure pain again, whether we like it or not. Oftentimes when we feel pain, we might cry, and we definitely don't want people to see us crying. I'm going to tell you an anecdote of a social media post I put up a few weeks ago. I posted a picture after I had cried. Now, I did this because I wanted to normalize crying or feeling sad or bad for people out there. Now, to be clear, I'm not referring to clinical depression. I'm just talking about regular sadness. A very kind, concerned friend of mine reached out to me to ask if I was okay, which was really nice of her. And it made me realize that I didn't want people thinking that I was crying out for help, because I was not. But this is all to say that society often has a visceral reaction to tears, sadness, and negative emotion. Grandparents will often tell small children not to cry. Well, why? Why can't a kid cry? Why can't people or adults cry? It's a release of emotion. I would argue that crying is cathartic and, in fact, healthy. In this episode, I want to take the opportunity to challenge the way in which you see sadness, because changing our attitude and mindset towards pain can truly decrease the amount of suffering we endure in the long run. Sadness and grief are tough. a natural part of life. Love and loss, that's a part of the beauty and pain of life as well. Many of my clients go through major life transitions. They may lose a parent, end a friendship, move, get a new job, move out from their spouse, and other difficult changes. These major changes cause a lot of grief and a lot of pain. That is often why we are so resistant to change, because the brain wants to keep us safe. Sometimes, even if we are in a toxic environment, our brain will actually convince us to remain in that situation, to maintain the inertia, the status quo, thinking that it is right because, of course, change is scary. The truth is, I am not going to sugarcoat this for you. But what I will tell you is that though major changes are scary, you will go through the pain if you allow yourself to actually feel it. And don't numb yourself out with any buffering, i.e., over drinking, overeating, or any other numbing out activity. You may cry from time to time, but these times will pass because they always do. In my life, when I have felt pain, I allow it in. I cry. Yes, it sucks, but I allow myself to cry. It is cathartic. I feel the pain. I feel it in my body. I know when I remember that it will pass because I have felt pain before. I've endured it. I've carried on to live a more than happy life. And this is what allows me to move forward because I know that the pain will not last forever. So now that I've touched upon pain and how to actually allow yourself to feel it, once you've cried those tears and you want to move forward, but maybe you're feeling a little bit exhausted or a little bit heavy, here are some tips on what to do. 1, simplify and clean up your life. I will explain. 2, protect yourself. 3, self-indulgence and self-care. 4, small steps. So let me elaborate on the above steps. Simplify and clean up. Keep it simple. For example, if dynamics with somebody are too complicated or overwhelming or just require a lot of brain energy, do not put yourself in the middle of what's going on or engage in a major way with them in order to people please, because you only end up hurting yourself and draining your already limited energy. Furthermore, when you find yourself wondering, what does so-and-so think of X situation? Stop yourself right there in your tracks, because you will never really know what they are thinking. Only that person knows. Therefore, it is a complete waste of time and energy. So save your precious brain space and energy, and don't be worrying about what's going on in other people's brains, because let's be honest, it's hard to keep up with what's going on in our own brains. So 2, protect yourself. The best way, the most streamlined way to protect yourself is truly with boundaries, as I discussed in last week's episode. Episode number 22, Boundaries for Healthy Relationships and Dealing with an Alcoholic Spouse. If a friend who needs to talk to you, for example, needs your time, right, and energy, and you want to be a good friend, but you are feeling drained, make sure to talk to them when you have time and energy to actually devote. If it's too much in this moment, schedule a time when you might be more available. Make sure to surround yourself with supportive people. If you're going through something you don't want to talk about and you don't trust certain people, Do not be hanging out with them. It doesn't make any sense. And don't feel bad about it, because when we are feeling drained or we don't have the energy or we're grieving or going through something, we really have to tighten up how we conduct ourselves. So use your boundaries. Keep yourself mentally and physically safe. Avoid situations where you don't feel safe or you cannot be your authentic self. Create a plan to deal with people or situations that are potentially harmful. Again, refer to my episode on boundaries on how to do this. I'm not a huge fan of this saying, but it is true that we cannot give from an empty cup, so make sure to look after yourself. Take care of yourself as well. If you are tired, force yourself to go to bed on time. Or force yourself to get in a walk or a workout or anything where you feel like you're caring for yourself. Call a friend. And if you have no ideas of how to take care of yourself and refill your cup, when all else fails, dance like nobody's watching. And I say this because dancing is the most wonderful thing. It gets you out of your head. You get good music on. You get your body moving. It boosts your endorphins. It is a no-brainer. It's usually free. I mean, maybe you have to pay for your Spotify subscription, but I'm pretty sure there are all kinds of free ways to listen to music. So anyway, this is one of the best tactics when you're feeling drained and you just need to energize yourself. Be gentle with yourself and forgive yourself for any mistakes that you make, because as I've discussed before, none of us is perfect. We are all human. And the more that we can forgive ourselves for any perceived mistakes, the more we can lighten our load and move forward and keep going. The last tip I mentioned was small steps. This really means just putting one foot in front of the other when you're feeling depleted or drained. Keep going. I know that you are a hard worker. I know that you're responsible. So you're going to do whatever you're supposed to be doing. But be gentle with yourself as you do this and break up larger tasks into small increments, maybe 10-minute increments, just so you can get them done. Take breaks when you need to. And if you have self-imposed deadlines, loosen up on them to give yourself some breathing room. That way you're not adding to your sense of overwhelm. If you like these tips and you want to dive deeper into this work, I have a handful of spots opening up for private clients. My process helps professional moms with the seemingly perfect life who are silently suffering on the inside to know that they are not alone and that they can reclaim their confidence and power to have a much better life, even if that feels impossible. Apply to work with me and book a call today. www.priancanaikmdcoaching.as.me, link in the show notes, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik. If you are ready to get unstuck and out of survival mode to live your best life, I want to invite you to book a free 30-minute consultation call with me. To get started, visit priancanaikmdcoaching.as.me. Link in the show notes.